If we haven't met yet, my name is Alisha Mawji, and I'm the Community and Operations Coordinator here at Embodied Astrology. And this June, as Jupiter moves into Cancer, I'm thrilled to be co-facilitating a space alongside my peer, Amy Ashton. We're calling it At the Heart of Conflict. The word conflict is everywhere right now, being used to describe situations that at the heart of them are really about relating. Navigating across our difference, disconnection, and dysregulation in the spaces where we seek understanding, connection, and love. While there exist many spaces to learn conceptually what conflict transformation requires, there exist very few where we can actually be in the mess together, practicing what conflict transformation entails beyond the theoretical talk and ideals. This series, taking place during Jupiter's stay in Cancer, aims to serve as an active workshopping space where we can better understand ourselves and our others through astrology, practice taking different shapes in conflict, and explore cognitive and somatic frameworks for increasing our capacity in moments of rupture, so that we can actually show up in the ways that we long for. This cohort will meet weekly for 12 weeks, beginning in June, but space is limited. We're capping the cohort at just 10 people to better facilitate connection and allow everyone space to share. More information and the form to apply can be found on our website and in the podcast show notes, and I hope to see you there. Thank you.
Hello, Virgo. Welcome to Gemini season. This is a general reading for anyone who's Virgo identified. That includes your rising, sun, and moon signs. You can actually listen or read horoscopes for any sign if you know how that sign is situated in your chart. And this reading for Gemini season is applicable to all of your Gemini placements. Everybody has Gemini in their chart, everyone has a third house, and everyone has a Mercury placement. So if you know where those are, you can listen for them. And horoscopes are always most accurate for your rising sign. And there are subtleties and nuances in astrology. It is actually a really sophisticated practice, and these are general readings for 12 archetypes. So not everything is for everyone, and I just want to encourage you to take what works and leave the rest. Make the meaning that's most meaningful for you. Okay, Virgo, Gemini is an important energy for you. Gemini and Virgo are two signs that are both on what's called the mutable cross. Mutable energy is energy that is changeable and can move in multiple directions. Gemini and Virgo are also the two signs in the zodiac that are both said to be ruled or governed by the planet Mercury. So mercurial energy is what moves through a Virgo and Gemini body, but in different ways. I think of mercurial energy as highly intelligent, somewhat trickster energy, and very magical in a lot of ways, but also sometimes hard to predict or hard to plan for. Virgo and Gemini are both highly intelligent signs and energies. Yes, I'm talking to you, Virgo. I know you're real smart. Gemini is an air sign and Virgo is an earth sign. And I like to think about Virgo as the place where the earth is thinking, where the earth is figuring out what its next moves are going to be and how it's going to put the puzzle pieces of its creation together. The earthly intelligence that creates all different kinds of forms, that moves components of one life form into another, is what happens in Virgo. And so for you as a Virgo identified person, when we are working with Gemini energy, we have an amplification of intelligence, potentially of mental energy, and the kinds of processes that are trying to figure out where to put all the right pieces into the right places. And the last thing I'm going to say about the relationship between Virgo and Gemini is that because both of these signs are on the mutable cross, Gemini holds a very important place in your chart, and this is the place of the solar 10th house. This is you out there in the world. So this place in your chart has a lot to do with what we might think about with your life purpose. That can definitely include your career or your vocation, as well as who and how how it's important for you to be in the world, which sometimes has nothing to do with our career or vocation, but really how we want to hold ourselves in social standing. This is the most public place in your chart, and so public presentation is really important here. And, you know, if you have a Wikipedia page or a business card or something like that, that's kind of the general vibe of this area of your chart. Okay, so your forecast for Gemini season from an embodied astrological perspective. Gemini season starts on May 20th, and as soon as we get into Gemini season, we're moving towards a new moon. The new moon is on May 26th, and then a couple of days after the new moon, there's a very important event happening, and this is the solar conjunction, or the cazimi, of Mercury, your ruling planet, with the sun. This is the superior conjunction. So Mercury is on the other side of the earth. It is moving really fast and it is very powerful in this place. And as it comes into alignment with the sun, the symbolic resonance here is that there is a new idea beginning and starting to pick up speed. This is a very dynamic part of Mercury's cycle, and the interpretation of this point in Mercury's cycle is that our minds are impressed with their own power, and we have invigorated, far-reaching, courageous, bold ideas moving through us. So the first week and a half of Gemini season with this new moon and Mercury cazimi, it feels to me like a lot of you are really being emboldened in your public and professional lives in the ways that you want to move out into the world, and who you think you are out there is getting a big dose of energy. Now, to add to all of this, in early June, on June 9th or 10th, depending on your time zone, the planet Jupiter is leaving Gemini and moving into Cancer. Now, Jupiter has been in Gemini for the last year, since the end of May in 2024. It spends about a year in every sign. And so it will spend the next year from June of 2025 until June of 2026 in the sign Cancer. This is a very different vibe for Jupiter. It is moving from a sign where it can bring a kind of explosion of ideas and a lot of different impulses into a sign where it can take up more space and have a slower, steadier, but very expansive growth. And it is moving from a place in your chart that has to do with the orientation that you have to your own growth into a place where you are growing wider and vaster, especially through the realms of your relationships. So the meaning that I'm going to make out of all this, how I'm going to put it together, is that this Gemini season is a really powerful invocation of your personal power as you are expressing your power out into the world, trying to grow into your next steps, next chapters, and increase your influence, especially when it comes to your social realms and networks and connections. Some of you may have bold, dynamic, creative, fun, new ideas about who you are and how you want to be in the world. And this may or may not have anything to do with making money or doing the kinds of labor that we often associate to our career paths. But whether or not it is about that for you, there's something about this chapter that is opening that feels like a declarative statement. It feels like you kind of waving your flag out in the world and saying, this is who I am. Now, as you make this commitment to your growth path and trajectory, new opportunities open up, especially in your social landscapes. You are looking for the right kinds of people, places, and connections to help you grow in this next phase and chapter of your life. And Virgos, those people are also looking for you. They are taking note of what you're doing and what kind of flag you're flying. And the people who want to connect with you because they resonate with you are going to start reaching out. Now, this might not happen right away, but over the course of the next year, from June of 2025 until June of 2026, it is a really powerful time for you to make new connections. And so this is a great opportunity for networking, for making new friends, for deepening your existing friendships, and taking up more space in any kinds of groups or organizations that you might be a part of or want to be a part of. This is also a wonderful signature for expanding your horizons in general in life. If some of you have been thinking, delicious yet kind of dangerous feeling thoughts where you're like, oh my gosh, I just want to go do this thing, and it feels like a big departure from your normal, or you want to try something, you want to experiment, now's the time to do it, Virgo. Doors are opening for you. There's a lot of availability for you to do new things and to do things differently. And even though in a lot of ways it is a really challenging time in the world and options are limited in some ways, I think that for you, for Virgos, there are particular options that are starting to open up. There are particular kinds of opportunities that are asking you to pay attention to them. Now, again, this probably isn't all going to happen at once and come rushing, barging down your door first thing in Gemini season. This is slow growth, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about some of the cyclical change that is happening in the upcoming year. But I do want to say that now is a time to really start to give a little bit more weight to the ideas that you've been having about your personal expansion and growth. I think that a lot of you have been having, what did I say a minute ago? Like kind of dangerous, daring ideas. I think a lot of you have been having like some kind of itch, that you want to scratch, and you're like, what if I just did that? And what that is, I don't know for you, but it feels like a departure from the norm. It feels like you're going to try something actually really different. And again, there's a boldness or a risk factor in what it is that you are thinking of. In the next couple of months, we have another really big change coming up with the outer planets. Uranus will also be moving into Gemini in early July. For the first phase of its tenure there, it will retrograde back into Taurus, into your fellow Earth sign for several months. But then by April of next year, it will be in Gemini until 2033. And we're starting to get the first kinds of flavors and rumblings of that transit coming up. And for you, this is definitely about taking risks, deviating from the status quo and what has been normal for you, putting yourself out in new and different ways, and in some ways kind of claiming what is unique and different about you, and putting aside any kinds of fears, inhibitions, or insecurities that may have kept you from revealing that in more public ways. It feels like a lot of you are just tired of playing it safe, whatever that might mean for you, and you are ready to take some different kinds of actions or overtures, especially in your public life, and especially when it comes to networks, friends, organizations, movement building and organizing, as well as just expanding your life right now. So this is, if you've been waiting for a sign, this is the sign. This is me telling you that those crazy feeling thoughts that you have about what if you just did that thing, maybe aren't so crazy after all. Maybe there's something in them that you definitely want to start putting a little bit more investment and thoughtfulness towards. Okay, so timing wise, like I've said a few times now, this is not all happening right away. There is a process. So the first thing that I want to say is that from the end of May until the end of July, you have a lot of forward moving thinking. It feels like many of you are just like full of ideas, and your ideas could be a little bit all over the place. There is this kind of innovative, daring, again, somewhat dangerous or somewhat risky kind of quality to your ideas. So some of you might be thinking like, I'm just going to, quit everything. Like, I'm going to quit my job. I'm going to move away from where I've lived. I'm going to, change all of my relationships and shave my head or grow my hair out or, whatever is different for you. And Virgo, I want to encourage you to entertain these thoughts while you also take your time. So the thoughts themselves are not going anywhere. You are going to have ample opportunities to do the things that you want to do. And you can take your time. It is important for you to be working methodically and strategically in a lot of ways right now, because when it really comes down to it, you don't want to completely upend and destabilize your life right now, because you do have some important longer-term projects that you are working on, particularly when it comes to your relationships and the social realms that you are a part of. Now, if you think back to 2020 and contemplate what has been happening for you in the last 5 years or so, I think that many of you are aware that in this last chapter of your life, there has been some kind of increasing concentrated focus on what feels to me like your true, the word that's coming to me is dharma. Some of you might be familiar with this word. It is related to the word karma. Karma is kind of the consequences of what has already happened. And we inherit karma from our culture and family and society, as well as our own past actions. But the dharma is the work that we have to do because of the karma, because of our conditions and what we engage ourselves in and what has been kind of set up for us. We all have our own roles to play. There's always a path that we kind of have to be on, regardless of our preferences or choice. It is the work that's ours, the life that's ours. And I feel that in the last 4 to 5 years, many of you have been kind of like, there's been this air of seriousness is what I'm feeling. You feel the gravity of your choices and your energy and what you show up for and how you show up. And I think that many of you have been feeling called to really take up the work that's yours. And so there are qualities here that to me feel like sacred service. It feels like you are aware that we are all always in service to something, whether or not we are conscious about it. We still give our attention, we give our energy, we invest our resources, etc. And you want to be really intentional about your energy. And I think that in this last chapter of your life, your intentionality has taken a lot of focus from you, and you've been crafting your life in ways that you feel are going to help you serve your purpose as best you can. Now, the ways that you're crafting your life could have a lot to do with your lifestyle and how you take care of yourself, your body, your emotions and psychology, your relationships, your environment, and the world that you are a part of. It could also have a lot to do with service and with the ways that you show up for the work that's yours or how you make work yours. This could look like volunteering. It could look like solidarity or mutual aid. It could look like organizing or being part of some kinds of groups or efforts that resonate deeply with you in terms of what you believe in and what you want to strengthen and give your attention and energy towards. Finally, in this last chapter, I think that a lot of you have also really needed to consider your own limitations. And the consideration of limitation actually is a kind of liberation. The word limitation would imply confinement, and we can't do everything. We can't do everything for everybody. We can't do everything that we want to for ourselves. Our time, our energy, our attention, our capacity, they're all limited. But when we honor our limitations and when we take them seriously, what can happen is that we can relax around the work that's not ours to do, and allow ourselves to be more receptive to collaboration and working with other people. And we can also kind of like take the psychological load off, and just recognize that, not everything is ours to do. We can't show up for absolutely every idea that we have or everything that we want to support. And so when we honor our limitations, there can be a liberation of our own energy as we allow our energy sometimes to be more focused or smaller or more concentrated. And also as we open up our energy fields to working in collaboration with others or trusting others to do the work that's theirs to do, which means that it doesn't have to be ours to do. And so over this last 4 to 5 year span, something has been shifting for you in the realms of your relationships. And I think especially when it comes to the ways that you are laboring, attending to responsibility, taking care of yourself, taking care of your body, your environment, the world, etc. And you have really needed to clarify what the exchange is and what the agreements are inside of many of your important relationships, and definitely anywhere that you are putting a lot of intentionality and energy into. So projects, collaborations, again, organizing, if you're involved in any kind of solidarity work, things like that. You have really wanted to have the kinds of conversations that allow greater trust to develop. This means that you need to talk about what's real. You need to make time and space for dissent and disagreement, for people to work it out, in their differences and psychologies, and talk about their feelings and things like this. You've also been doing a fair amount of work, I think, with your own psyche and psychology. Whenever we're trying to come to terms with our own limitations and capacities, often I think we have to contend with our own fears of failure or our own experiences of failing. And as any artist will tell you, failure is such an important part of the creative process. To fail is not actually a failure, it is a success, especially when we can learn from our failures and let that mature and deepen us. So we have reached a critical turning point from this new cycle that began in 2020, which was a cycle of you, I think, really feeling into the ways that you want to apply your energy and be most effective in the ways that you labor and use the limited resources and capacities that you have in this life. I think that a lot of you, again, you feel called, you feel compelled, you understand that there's certain work that's yours, and you want to show up for that work in as best, in the ways that are as best as they can be for you. So in this last 4 to 5 years, you have been in this process of trying to figure out what it is. What does that mean? How do you do it? And then as we move into the month of June, we are reaching a critical turning point in this process. And in your chart, what this feels to me like is some kind of liberation potential in your relationships. And the felt sense that I have right now is that in the ways that Virgo can be very critical, first and foremost to yourself and then to others around you, you're softening. I think a lot of you are letting go of a lot. You are letting go of judgment, you're letting go of critique, you're letting go of complaint, you're letting go of perfectionism, you're letting go of a lot of the details that are just not your details to organize for other people or even for yourself. Like some of you are feeling like, well, it's okay if it's a mess, which is definitely it's like that's a significant kind of win, I'm going to say, for Virgo energy to be like, it's okay if it's a mess. And I think that a lot of you are kind of feeling that. It's like you are letting things be, including yourself and including other people, in ways that free up your energy. It frees up your attention. It allows you to then feel more free as a person. It's like, take a load off and have a good time a little bit. And this is the life that you have. This is the time that you have. Things are not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. And yet nature is constantly adapting and evolving. And if you really pay attention to the earth is gloriously messy, right? Like the way that it, let's say like a pine tree sheds its needles everywhere, and then animals come and poop and things decompose. It's like, it's all messy. And it has to be messy because that's the earth's fertility. That's its generative and regenerative capacity. And human beings, especially humans with strong Virgo placements, love to make things organized and tidy it all up, and sometimes like sanitize it beyond what's actually good for something, control it beyond what's good for something. And Virgo, I feel like you are just letting it go right now. It's like, big exhale and big release, and let things be. And things include you. You want to just be. And this season, Gemini season, is basically going, yeah, Virgo, yeah, be. Take up some space in your being. Relax. Take a load off. There's always going to be so much work to do. There's always going to be urgency. And if you are meeting every single moment as if every single moment is a fire that needs to get put out and there's constant crises everywhere, you're not helping anybody, and you're definitely not helping yourself. And so I think that a lot of you are kind of in this transformation process where you're recognizing that you are able to do the work that is really yours to do the best that you can do it when you give yourself and everybody around you some permission to just be, and also to let things be imperfect sometimes. This necessarily creates a different kind of experience of intimacy for you, because you're not interested in performing perfection anymore, and you're really not interested if other people are trying to do that. I think a lot of you are actually increasingly interested in the kinds of conversations and dynamic and relational process that comes up when people are honest about their limitations, and when people are not afraid to fail together or in public. And this feels like the freedom to experiment and the freedom to be real together and to take up space in belonging, not be constantly goal-oriented and mission-driven and focused on the work at the expense of the bodies or the life or the creativity that is also here. Whew, that was a lot of words. So as we get into the month of June, and especially as we move towards the Sagittarius full moon on June 11th, there is this dynamic charged atmosphere. And in terms of what's happening in the collective, I think that we are really moving through times of chaos and change. Now, for you on a personal level, I feel that there's a big conversation that's happening for you right now between your personal and your public life, between the ways that you feel yourself most comfortable and at home, kind of grounded and centered in your own energy, and the ways that you're trying to put yourself out there and start new things and expand your horizon and grow your possibilities. Now, it might feel like these two realms of your life are somehow opposed to one another. And if you have, time and space and quiet at home, then that's taking away from the efforts that you might be putting into your public life or your career or something like that. Or it might feel like you have so much that you want to be doing in the world and you're really activated and you want to get out there and you want to get involved. And then that only happens at the expense of your sleep and your body and your rest. And again, Virgo, I've already said this, but I'll say it again. These are not antagonizing influences. They are not actually exclusive of one another. In order for you to bring your best to the world, you have to be able to take a step back, to take some time off, to turn the lights down, right? We have to be able to go dark sometimes if we also want to, share and spread our energy. And this is definitely true in your relationships. I'm going to misquote her, but, Bell Hooks in All About Love has this quote that is something like, in order to really show up for our relationships, we need to be able to show up for ourselves. I'm totally misquoting her, but it's something like that. We have to be able to be comfortable in solitude in order to be comfortable in relationships. And I really am feeling this for you right now, Virgo. It feels really important that you are giving yourself ample time and space to be with yourself, to be with your interiority, to be quiet, to be in a space of pure receptivity, not about external expression, not about pushing outward, not about doing a lot of things, but just being with your own energy. Now, you need this because of how much energy is moving through you. And around the end of Gemini season, as we get into the last couple of days of Gemini season, Mars is going to be moving into your sign, and it will spend a little under 2 months there. And so Mars is really activating presence. And over the last 6 to 7 months, Mars has been going through a retrograde process in the signs of Leo and Cancer. And as I mentioned, Cancer is where Jupiter will soon enter. And so in this last stretch of time, you could even think back to last October as kind of the beginning of this cycle. I think a lot of you have been experiencing some kind of flux in your social desires and experiences. There may have been instincts and impulses to put yourself out, and then instincts and impulses to retreat and withdraw. You may have had some kinds of experiences where you felt really expanded and excited about who's out there and what you could be doing. And then you got really tired, or you felt depleted, or something else was happening, and it was blocking that kind of energy for you. But this period of time has been a really rich internal growth cycle. And in this last 6 months or so, I think that a lot of you have been making a lot of psychic space. I have this image of you in your psychic space. It looks like a deep cave or something with like stalagmites and stalactites everywhere. And I see you with like a big flaming sword, and you are just like cutting through layers of fog. And it feels like you are like banishing the ghosts of energies past, the fragments and figments that cling to your psyche. These could be your insecurities and phobias. These could be preoccupations with, what some people might call like your hidden enemies or something. And I always think our hidden enemies are the ones that are most deeply hidden in ourselves, the ways that we kind of emit energy unconsciously or take on other people's stuff without knowing it. And I feel that a lot of you have just been needing to make a lot of psychic space for yourself over the last several months. And coming up in June, again, this quality of liberation is coming in. It feels like you are ready to put some things down. You are not scared about things in the way that you used to be. Certain kinds of insecurities or perceptions of your own limitations are no longer relevant to you because you have made them conscious. You've clarified what your actual limitations are. You're no longer insecure about them. You're owning them. And that gives you a lot more space to take up the space and the work that is yours. Okay, Virgo, so I want to offer you a really simple embodiment practice. And this is a version actually of the embodiment practice I gave you in your 2025 year ahead reading. That reading is extensive. I give you so much information about the astrology of 2025. There's so much going on this year. So if you haven't listened to that yet, you should definitely check it out. There is a longer embodiment practice that I gave you to work with throughout your year there. But what I want to offer to you right now is just some support for Gemini season. And this support is to link the Virgo energy with the Gemini energy. And in medical astrology, Virgo governs your guts and the processes of assimilation and absorption that your intestines are responsible for. And Gemini governs your mental energy and your breath. And you may have come across terms like your gut brain before, or you may be aware of the link between your mental state and your digestive state. So much of our intelligence actually lives in our guts. And our guts are home to all kinds of microorganisms. Many of them are beneficial and we really need them. And sometimes we also have microorganisms living in our guts that are not beneficial and that can actually create disturbance in our mental processes and brain function. That's a different podcast where you can learn about that. But for Gemini season, what I want to encourage you to do is start to just bring more awareness into your gut-brain connection and modify this as you like, but I'm going to put my hands over my belly button. And if it feels okay for you, you might want to do that as well. And I'm just going to start to try and relax my belly as I breathe and see if I can direct some of my breath into not just my front body, but also my back body. And if you could imagine the space directly behind your belly button in the opposite side of your body, there's a really important place there in energetic medicine, right around the juncture of your lumbar sacral plexus. And so as you breathe, you can imagine that your breath is expanding in kind of a spherical shape in all directions from your navel center, the center of your body at the height of your belly button, into your front, into your back, and into the sides. And as you breathe into your belly, can you also breathe into your head? And I know that your lungs don't go all the way up into your head, but the oxygen that your lungs take in moves into your blood. And you can breathe into every cell of your body, into every tissue. Your breath is needed everywhere. Now, not everybody is able to visualize or see pictures in their mind. So if you're someone who doesn't experience that, then just stay with your felt sense awareness. But if you can visualize, then begin to imagine that your belly and your head have stars inside of them. Right at the center, it's like the sun lives there. And as you inhale, the radiance and the light of the sun or the stars expand and grow bigger in every direction. And as you exhale, that light becomes concentrated into a single point right at the center of your belly, the center of your brain. Okay, Virgo, and then I want to invite you to find the relationship between your belly and your brain in your heart. And like you could trace a line from each of them towards each other, and they would meet right in your chest center, near the organ of your heart. And now your heart also has a star inside of it. And as you breathe, all of these three places are expanding in their luminosity, radiating out in all directions. And as you exhale, becoming strong and condensed, really potent into a single point. Now, as you breathe in this way, I want to invite you to commit to the work that's yours. And I don't know what that is for you specifically, but I think that you know, and this does not have to be specific. And in fact, it's better if it's not. So I'm not saying commit to your newsletter or commit to the, community organizing project that you're doing next week. It's not that specific. It's a quality. It's a way that you want to show up. It's the ways that you are familiar with certain kinds of energy that you really resonate with, that you feel committed to embodying and transmitting into your life, into the relationships that you have, and into the world. And so as you breathe, commit to the work that's yours. Commit to your purpose, commit to your presence, commit to these qualities and resonance that feel the most aligned for your spirit in this lifetime, in this body. Okay, Virgo, now this is the most important part. I want you to thank yourself. I want you to thank yourself for arriving. Thank yourself for all of the challenges and the failures and the hardships that you have worked through that have helped you clarify the work that's yours. Thank yourself for every time that you turned to who you really are in your genuine nature and spirit. Especially thank yourself for the times that it has been the most challenging to do that and you did it anyway. So take this energy with you into Gemini season. If you enjoy this meditation, continue to work with it, practice it every day, make it longer, modify it, bring it into any other kinds of meditation or movement practices that you have. If you enjoy this meditation and enjoy the linking of astrology with body-centered awareness and visualization and breath, come hang out with me in Somatic Space. Every Monday from 8 to 9:30 on Zoom, I teach a class where we work with the astrology of the week ahead through our bodies, through meditation, visualization, and gentle, accessible movement. You can drop in for $10 or you can become a member. And if you are a member, you can also join me once a month for Astrology Tea Time, which is a little mini workshop where we deep dive into one aspect of current astrology that is interesting and everybody gets to learn a little bit about their charts, but we also get to learn with each other because astrology is enormous and it's not the same for everybody. So it's really helpful to be in conversation and community around it. And Embodied Astrology does all kinds of things. We have study groups going on regularly. So if you're interested in learning astrology through conversation, through community, and through your own lived experience, then Embodied Astrology is the place for you. On May 26th, which is the Gemini new moon, we are also going to have a community conversation. Gemini is a sign that is associated with neighbors and neighborhoods, and I'm going to be hosting one of my neighbors, Stephan, who's a middle school teacher. He is a teacher of science and mythology, and he also runs the Queer Student Alliance. And he's going to be talking to me about the intersections of queerness, science, and cosmology. We're going to be thinking about community education and how imagination and also practical application of intelligence are things that we can practice and practice together. This event is a fundraiser, and I don't yet know what we're fundraising for. That's up to Stephan. But it is also accessible, so you can drop in by a pay what you can donation. And it would be a great opportunity to come hang out with the community at Embodied Astrology. If you're interested, you can find more information in the show notes. If you enjoy this horoscope, please like, share, and subscribe. Send it to a friend. Your support really helps the channel grow, so please do subscribe to the channel and let me know what lands for you in the comments. Virgo, I'm wishing you all the best in Gemini season and beyond. Bye for now.